Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name's Sylvia and today I am bringing you my June wrap-up. In the month of June, I read 11 books. 3 of them were physical books and the rest were all audiobooks. So let's go ahead and jump right in. So the first book that I read in June is The Overnight Guest. The Overnight Guest, you're getting a story in 3 perspectives, and what it is, it's a story of I think it's 10 years ago, a tragic incident happens where basically an entire family is murdered in the middle of the night. And there is one sole survivor. And you're getting the story of this because there is an author who is working on a book, and she's got personal things going on in her life at this point. So she goes to the cabin to work and just get away from everything. And this happens to be the cabin happens to be the house that this murder took place years ago. And so you're getting her perspective, you're getting the story of what happened years ago, and you're also getting a third perspective of you're not sure who it is, but you know that they are being held captive at the time. And I did listen to this one on audio. I gave it a 4-star, and I really enjoyed kind of the back and forth, because as I was reading it, I was literally thinking to myself, who did it? Because you're getting, there's a few people in there that I literally was like, definitely this person. Definitely this person. Okay, maybe it's this person. And then when you realize who it is, you're like, that is sick and twisted. Like, holy shit. I highly recommend this I really did enjoy this story. I loved the different perspectives. I loved the story in general, and I liked the ending a lot. The second book that I read was Summer at the Cape, and I gave this a 4-star. It is a story of twin sisters and their older sister. And what happens is one of the twins has just recently passed away, so they are all going to where she lives to kind of do a memorial and everything like that. It's been, I think, a few months, 6 months, and there's tensions there because you've got the twins, you've got the older sister, and the parents divorced years ago. So the older sister ended up living with the dad, and the twins ended up living with the mom. And they all have their different take and feel of how everything was, because the older one is a lot like their father, where the twins are a lot more like their mother. And you're getting the story in 3 perspectives. So you're getting the older sister, the one twin, and then you're getting the story in a perspective of an outside character. And it's fun because you're getting her older sister's perspective of things, of how she feels. You're getting the twins' perspective of how she feels and how she's coping. And then you've got this outside person who is, because you'll see how he ties in, where he's like, I shouldn't like her, but I like her. And then he doesn't necessarily like his dad. And yeah, it's a good time. I liked it. It's a feel good. It's not like a heavy romance. There is romance, but it's not like a heavy romance. Touches on, some sensitive matter, but I think she did an amazing job with this story. The next book that I read was I finished In Another Light by A.J. Banner. I got this in one of my Once Upon a Book Club boxes, and I never actually finished it. As you can see, it's not that very big. I got into it, got distracted, and never finished it. I love A.J. Banner's writing a lot, so I've read this and another book by her, and they're freaking awesome. So this is a story about a woman who, she works in a morgue. She does the makeup and stuff like that and how they dress them for viewings and for the funeral. And she has I want to say it's been 3 years or something of that nature, where she lost her husband and her daughter in a car accident. And when it happened, she kind of went off the deep end just a little bit, just in her own little world. grief of it, just it all got to her. And she comes across this woman, well, she works her way in there because she's not supposed to see a woman who comes across her table that looks exactly like her. And seeing this woman and little things that now are like a domino effect that are happening, she's starting to spiral and kind of lose it again, because now she's starting to be like, why does she look like me? And the little things that are happening, she's now on a quest, on a mission to find out what the hell is going on. I enjoyed that story. I liked all the little things that came in the box with it. I gave it a 4-star, and I love AJ Banner's writing. Definitely want to pick up more by her. So the next book that I read was Congo, and I gave it a 3-star. This is the same author that did Michael Crichton, that did Jurassic Park. I enjoyed it. So you've got, oh, how many different perspectives? You've got her perspective, you've got his, and then you've got like the main like research building, like people there, you've got their like someone in theirs perspective. So maybe like 3 or 4 different perspectives where they go to Congo because they're on a mission to find diamonds. And while this is happening, their team that they sent out sends back like a distress thing where they hear all of this and there is no survivors. Like they hear the attack over the radio. So they're like, all right, well, we've got to send in another team now because we got to see if there are any survivors. We got to see what's going on. And as it's happening, it's just all the things. I definitely, and I didn't hate the story. I did enjoy the story, but it's one of those stories where it's not going to stick with me for the rest of my life. I did enjoy kind of the concept of working with the gorillas and learning like the communication between like human and gorillas and stuff like that. It was really cool. But it's not a story that's going to stick with me forever. Did I enjoy it? Yes. Is it one of those, yay, let me tell? No. Is it enjoyable? Yes. So it's not a love-hate. It's a whatever. The next book I read was Cold Hearted by Serena Valentino. It's one of her villain books. It was the last villain book that she released because this week or next week, her next villain book comes out. Cold Hearted, we are following Lady Tremaine. If you have read any of Serena Valentino's villain books, she does a fucking amazing job. She has introduced us to the Odd Sisters, which Odd Sisters get involved, shit's getting messed up. Her take, I can tell you, it makes you kind of dislike like the fairy godmothers and stuff like that. You kind of just want to slap them because fairy godmother kind of pisses me off. The fairies from Sleeping Beauty kind of piss me off. You have to read them. But we're following Lady Tremaine, and Lady Tremaine, you kind of want to slap her a little bit because it's almost like the shit that she's going through. Some of it is her own fault because she refuses to listen to anybody. And she just lets like greed and hate like fill her heart. And of course, the one time the Odd Sisters get involved, that it's a genuine thing, they get kind of cast out because Odd Sisters involved, there's always trouble. So they think that the Odd Sisters are trying to cause problems, and they're not. They're genuinely trying to help and save Lady Tremaine. It does make you hate Cinderella's freaking father, like a lot. Like, he's an utter asshole, and he's an utter asshole. Like I told you, she's able to spin these stories and these characters, and it makes you, in a way, love the villains because it gives you an understanding of them and why they are the way that they are. Loved it. I gave that a 5-star. I think I've given all of Serena Valentino's books 5 stars just because I love them. I love their stories. The next one that I read was The Retreat by Sherry Smith. I read this with my daughter. Her and I are doing like a mother-daughter read every month, 2 books a month. This was just the first time that we did it, and we're just kind of annotating and marking books up together and talking about it. This book had so much potential. I gave this a 3-star. So when you first start this book, the scene is so crazy that you're like, oh my God, if this whole book is like this is going to be a 5-star book. It's going to be amazing. And it left me wanting more. Like, she could have done so much with it, done so many twists and turns. And instead what happens is you get this like kick in the teeth in the very beginning. Then you have the first 100 pages, you're meeting the 4 main characters, because it's not 4 best friends. It's a childhood like TV show star, her 2 best friends, and then her to-be sister-in-law go on this retreat together, and shit starts going like to the left. And so you're getting all of their perspectives, and you get 100 pages in, and then something happens, and you're like, all right, the good stuff's coming. Great. Awesome. And then as it starts going, you think she's going to play with you in this back and forth and twist, and you figure out who it is way too easy, way too fast. And I think just from the way it started, I was expecting this to be like a gripping twist, and it just just twists and turns and it wasn't. Not a horrible story, not the best. Just, I wanted so much more out of this story. And sorry for talking with my hands. I'm an Irish Korean chick that this is what I do. The next book that I read is Hidden Pictures. So Hidden Pictures just recently came out, and it is a story about a young woman who is early 20s, who is a drug addict, and she's been clean for a while now, and she's been doing really well for herself. And her sponsor helps her to get a nanny job, and the family that she's going to nanny for knows that she is a drug addict and she is in recovery, because she's going to be in recovery for the rest of her life, and they are accepting of it. The father, not so much. The mother immediately. Well, as soon as she becomes a nanny, weird shit starts to happen. And of course, she gets invested and wants to know what's going on. And because she's doing these things, people are questioning her sobriety. And it gives you a little bit of a paranormal type of like feel to it. Nothing too crazy. I don't know if I said, but I gave it a 4-star. I enjoyed it a lot. I was shocked, because as you're listening and they're giving you the storyline, you're like, okay, cool, awesome. Like, this is really good. Oh my God, like, this is crazy. Who did that? Like, why would they do that? And then you get to the end and you find out what really happens, and you're like, that's still crazy as shit. Oh my God. I really enjoyed it, and I do suggest it and recommend it, because that's just what I do. The next book that I've read is The Troop. If you liked Lord of the Flies, I think you will like The Troop. The only thing with The Troop, it's definitely more gore. It definitely has kind of a triggering scene in there, I want to say. It's definitely more like horror type story. So you've got this troop of Boy Scouts, and it is their annual camping trip, and they go to this island where basically there's nobody there. So if you are on this island, you have taken a boat, you have brought yourself there. And while they are on this island, like I think their first night, this random stranger shows up out of nowhere, and he is sick, is what we're going to go with. He is sick, and he is now passing this sickness along, and it is now infecting everybody. And you were getting it in the story of all the boys. I want to say we do get every perspective of all the boys. You do get the perspective of the troop leader, and then you get kind of them after like interviews, and well, no, not interviews. You do get like the interview like recap kind of stuff where they're actually like reading the file after everything happened. So it goes back and forth a little bit, and I gave it a 4-star. I did not like Lord of the Rings as a teenager. Like, when I had to read that in school, I did not like it, was not for it, was not me. Like, I was like, this book sucks. I should probably revisit that book now that I'm in my 30s and see if I like it. But then I hated it, so I'm very surprised. But with The Wilds and all the things that I have read, like other stories that I have read, and then watching The Wilds recently on Amazon, I picked up The Troop and I enjoyed it. Definitely more gore. Some things I probably could have lived without, but I did enjoy it. The next one is The Family Plot. I gave this a 5-star, and it is from Megan Collins. She did The Winter Sister. This is her 3rd book, I believe. I love Megan Collins' writing so much. So you've got a family that has always been known, their house has always been known as, I think, the murder house. They grew up very, very different from everybody else in the world. They live on this island, and their father and mother both were very weird. They were homeschooled there, and it's a family of 4 kids. There's a brother and sister who are much older, and then like years later they ended up having 2 more kids, a set of twins. And 10 years prior to this story taking place, the twin, the son, went missing. And in those 10 years, the sister has been living a very hard life because she feels very, very alone. And their father has recently passed away, and she ends up coming home, and secrets start getting revealed. But they grew up, and how they're all treated, they were all homeschooled. They grew up learning about serial killers and murders, and just why the serial killers did what they did, and they paid tribute to the dead, on their birthdays. I want to say every child is named after a victim of a serial killer. I want to say, so on their birthdays, they all kind of pay tribute to that particular person. Yeah. Very weird family. Very weird family. And then all these secrets start coming out, and you're just like, wow. Okay. So that one, 5 stars. And then the next one that I read is Behind the Red Door by Megan Collins. And this is her 2nd book. I didn't even know that she had a 2nd and 3rd book. Shows you how well I was paying attention. So Behind the Red Door is a story of, I want to say it was 10, 12 years ago, where a little girl got abducted when she was 13, I think. 12, 13, maybe 14. Gets abducted, and a month or 2 months later, she is released. And you're following the story from someone's perspective who, her parents are shit-ass parents, and she sees the story because the girl who had gotten abducted before has now been abducted again. And she's starting to have these weird ass memories, but she's going home because because she's helping her father sell his house. Now, her father and mother are shit ass parents. They never really wanted kids. They basically had a kid just because they got pregnant. And the father does all these different, he's a professor or a retired professor, and he used to do all these fear experiments on his daughter, and then go and do an interview with her where he would scare the shit out of her in a situation, make her believe that they left her home alone all night long in the middle of a thunderstorm, and then come home the next day and be like, oh my God, we're home. Look, we never really left you. This was an experiment. Let's go do an interview. Let me ask you how you feel. That type of stuff. I literally cussed and screamed this entire story. I gave it a 4-star, but I cussed and screamed this entire story. I even messaged Megan and being like, I love your books, I love your stories, but this father sucks. This family sucks. She deserves so much better. But she is starting to get all these memories slowly come back to her that she's not sure why she's getting these memories. She's like, I don't really remember this, but am I having deja vu? Why am I thinking of this? Why do I get a feeling I know what this is? And she is now trying to find out what happened to this girl / woman, because she thinks she met her a long time ago when she disappeared the first time. But yes, I enjoyed it. Megan Collins' books are awesome. The next book that I read is The Night She Disappeared, and I really, really enjoyed that. I did not expect it to turn out the way that it did. It was amazing. So you're getting the story in mother, new teacher, school person, her perspective. So you're getting it in 3 perspectives. You're getting it in the mother's perspective of then and now. You're getting it in the new like headmaster's like wife's, because she's an author and she is now like thrown into this mix. And then you are getting it in the daughter's perspective of, and she's the one that disappeared. And it's now a year later, 2 years later. I love how I can remember how long things are. And so you're getting kind of like past, present, middle, all of it, like what happened before, kind of things that happened after, and what's going on now. I gave this a 5-star. I really liked it. It's by Lisa Jewell. I loved this book. I think she freaking did an amazing job with this one. It kept me on my toes. And I did not expect a lot of the shit. Like, things like you find out from like while you're listening to the daughter's perspective, and then you're getting the new teacher's perspective, and then that ending, like really did not see that coming. Like, in a way I can see where you can guess it, definitely, but if I haven't told you yet, when it comes to books like this, I'm a dumbass. Like, I read the book, and while everyone is going, oh my god, I know this, I know that, I'm over here like, I'm just reading a book. That's me. If anyone else can relate, please let me know, because I'm not one to guess. I'm just not. Like, I do, but I suck at it 99.9% of the time. And the final book that I've read in the month of June, Pugsley. No. And the final book that I read in the month of June, I finally finished 56 Days. So this is a story where you're getting it in 3 perspectives. You're getting it in the perspective of the female character, you're getting it in the perspective of the male character, and then you're getting it in the perspective of one of the detectives. And this is a pandemic story, and how she brought the pandemic and used COVID in her story, she did such a beautiful job. How she used the pandemic to be able to bring this story to life. I loved it. So you're getting the story from her perspective of when they first met. You're getting his perspective of when they first met and the things that are happening afterwards. And then you're getting the perspective of when they find the body. Because no one knows that these two know each other. No one knows that these two made this idea to like live together while all this is going on. And now that there's a body and no one knows what the hell is going on. And I gave this a 4-star. I would love to read more by her, because I think she did a great job, and I loved how she used the pandemic in her story, because it wasn't the focus, it's what tied everything together. It's what made everything be able to work and play the way that it played out. So thumbs up to her on that one. All right, guys. So thanks for hanging out. Those are the books I read in June, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.